All right, so here we have a figure that I have literally just been chomping at the bit for and dying to come in for a year now, since I first got to handle the prototype at TF for test shot, I guess, at TFCon Chicago last year. And he showed up today, and I could not be happier. But here is MMC's, I believe it's R-27 Tyrantron. Where's his box? R-28 Tyrantron / Tyrantronus. You get his comic and bio card and manual in the box. In a nice box that features both forms on it, because you'll see he comes with the bits and pieces here. Here he is in his Tyrantronus, his old Gladiator form from the pits on Cybertron before he rose up and became the Decepticon leader. And he comes with, like you said, the drill bit here, the little drill bit up here, which you don't really need to have and is very hard to get off. I only stuck it on for the video because it's really hard to get a grip to pull it off the little peg it's on in there. But yeah, here he is, and we're going to do something, like I said, changing things up a little differently for this since he has two modes. We're going to go from this mode to vehicle mode, swap vehicle mode, and then back into robot mode, and finish with the coolest Megatron. Anyway, here he is, and he's got his little caution stripes minor mode. You can see the tank treads. But a pretty nice version of Megatron. The big drill cannon arm. Not even cannon arm, drill arm. He does, one of the PSX exclusives was, at least I'm assuming this is a PSX exclusive, is the same miner head, but in a silver that matches the body versus the darker gray. I did a poll on Twitter. Most people chose the darker gray. I think that is the better choice for this form. But if you want, you can pop this off and pop a matching silver head on. And then you can also swap the tip of this out from a drill to a cannon. So he's got a big cannon. Maybe that's what the silver head is for, because I feel like with the drill, you really want the darker head that matches, and it does kind of match this gray. But with the cannon, kind of a proto-Megatron, first getting his weapon, it kind of works. We'll go ahead and put the drill back on for the alt mode. So yeah, so to transform him, he's very simple. You just pop the cannon off here. Go ahead and fold this tread down underneath that. Set that off to the side. We'll go into posability when we get back to his next form. So go ahead and lift these up like this. Take the arms, make sure the fists are closed. You don't have to, but it's a whole lot easier. You get less chance of catching the fingers on something. Extend the arms all the way down like this. You'll see the fists slide up into there. Bring them around to the side, and then this tab here goes into this slot. You just kind of fold it up. And fold it up again, line it up. Tab it together, and then this will tab onto the top of that. There's a little tab that goes into a little slot here on the forearm. Like that. Turn his head around. Turn his entire waist assembly around. Right there. Then rotate these pieces to the back of the leg. Well, I guess it's now the front of the body as we're holding it. But rotate them here like this. And there's a button right here on the leg that you want to press before you compress it. I don't think you need to do it before you pull them down for robot mode, but you do need to push this button to unlock it to compress the leg up. And you want to make sure this is centered because this is going to slide in under the tread. You want to push this all the way up until it slides in about like that. It sits right there in the tread. Fold the heel and the toe together like this, and then flip that tread piece up if you've got it flipped out for the heel. Same on this side. And push the button. Line that up, slide it all the way up, and then tab the legs together. They should snap together in place. You may need to line the top one. There we go. I find if you line the top pegs up, the lower pegs kind of slot into place. It's just a matter of getting it all tightened up. At this point, the arms, you want to disconnect them here. This is the scary part because I'm always afraid I'm going to crack something, but untab them from the body right here. And then this whole assembly folds down back here onto the legs. Just kind of push this piece together like this. Rotate the arms around like this, so the treads are facing down. And then these pieces will lock into the legs here. You see that the arm pieces that untap from up here tab into similar holes here on the legs. Like that. And then these panels, these two posts go into these two pegs and lock these into place. And then these pieces, these silver pieces on his back, slide down to form the, there we go. You know how those collapsed all the way? This will be at an angle. You want to make sure these collapse all the way up so that these hit straight and marry with the back piece. Not only, they don't click together, but match up with the back pieces. So slide those down. And that brings the whole rear end together. And this is his, I guess you could kind of do it like that. But this is his alt mode without the cannon. A couple people asked me earlier, actually, does he have a decent alt mode without attaching any of the cannons? And, well, that's what you get. I guess you could pop his head off, but what is that? Maybe a jetpack for somebody else? I don't know. But you take the cannon, there's a little peg here on the back of it, and the peg right here, you just kind of fit that in, lock it together, and there is his quote-unquote drill tank mode. He does have treads, so it's kind of a tank. He does have 2 drills. This one's kind of useless, I guess, but it's there. And there's his drill tank mode. Is that red piece not pushed in enough? I feel like that red piece should be popped up into that bit a little bit more. Not like it's a huge deal because I don't know how often I'm going to actually use this piece, but yeah, there's his. Yeah, that should absolutely. I can see the molding. Well, the other cannon's right, and that's the one that's going to stay on him the most. I'll fix that later. It's probably just a piece not screwed all the way in up in there. But yeah, so there is his drill tank mode. It's very overly long. Although really, if you're going to drill down, depending on what you're drilling for, being thin like that probably isn't the worst thing. Although, again, you'd want it to be more streamlined back here because this drill bit isn't clearing all the way out to the sides of his arms, and he's just going to go and crunch into something. But maybe that's what the small drill's for. I don't know. But, so yeah. I guess Alex hasn't. I don't think we've seen his official transformation mode, his transformed mode, since he took on this new form. This is not a horrible attempt, but it's a little silly. Now, like I said, I forgot to show off all of the... Well, I guess we'll just show them all off when we get to the other mode. I'd planned to show off his melee weapons in Gladiator mode, but they all work. Got a little ahead of myself. Anyway, so to transform him into his next mode, you want to pop this piece off. Oh, and also when he's in this mode, you can, if you want, put this cannon on as well. It works better with the other pieces on. So we'll just leave this on for right now until we swap everything out. We'll swap that out last. But first off, lift up these 2 panels. You're going to need a flat screwdriver or some sort of prizing tool to get get one out. To get this drill off. I maybe you won't. Maybe you're just got super fingernails or something. I don't know, but like I can't get this drill off without some sort of assistance. The cannon piece for his other form absolutely is not that difficult, but getting this piece off, I kind of have to get something in here and just pry it off gently. It won't damage it. But see, there's a little pin in there that this piece pegs onto, and it's very difficult to get off just by grabbing onto this part. So pop that off. We'll go ahead and put aforementioned cannon piece on right here. And again, it just has a little hole that goes over that pin into that slot. Like that. Go ahead and pop these panels off here. Just kind of wiggle them up. There we go. Let's go down this way a little bit. Flip them over and pop off the chest plate. Put on his new chest plate. Fits right into place there. Flip out and attach these little wing pieces. And again, they just peg right in here into these empty slots. And then tab into the arm just like the other pieces did. And same over here. Tab that in. Then retab these pieces down Now there is his jet mode with the cannon. And it kind of works for his space jet mode with this cannon attached. I mean, you could also kind of, I guess if you want to do it, you could be a space drill jet. Shape-wise, it's not horrible as the front end of a jet or a space plane, but yeah, much better alt mode here with the wings, I feel. But he also has a cooler tipped space jet mode. Somebody pointed out it looks kind of animated, and I can kind of see some influence from Transformers Animated. Also very Super Megatron-ish. If you look up Super Megatron, you can see some early design sketches. It's got the black and the red space jet with a cannon tip similar to this. So lots of influences. Again, not the comic, because I'm pretty sure he's not turned into a space jet in the comic, and he still has all those treads on the bottom. But so that's actually a pretty cool looking modern alt mode for Megatron. I'm very happy with that. And transform him back, it's the same process in reverse. Pop this piece off, go ahead and take this tread, flip it up so we can attach this cannon. Flip up these panels right here. And I find it's helpful to go ahead and just lift this whole assembly up a little bit, if you can. All right, unpeg the arms. Which again, very scary. I'm afraid I'm going to snap that connector port. Lift this up a little bit, and then pull the legs down. I have to wiggle them a little bit to get them started. And then before you do anything else, come under here and then push these pieces that slid down back up. It's just easier once you get the leverage to push them from behind. It's a whole lot easier than trying to get your fingers in the grooves and slide them up that way. They're very stiff. So bring the arms back up, tab them back in up here. Come on. There we go. Fold these back like that. Bring the arms down. I'm going to go ahead and stand this up so we can get to the upper body here. Go ahead and pop and put his other head on while we're in the midst of transforming him so we can show that off as part of this form. But yeah, bring the arms down and around, untab them, or untab the wing from there, and untab the arm from the side. And then fold the wingtip back. And then collapse the arm. Just like that. Same on this side. Rotate him around at the waist. Bring these little hip panels back around to the front. Turn his head around. Unpeg his legs. Flip his feet back out. I like to open up these treads because it helps kind of support. The back heels are a little looser than the front toes, and if you flip these out and kind of peg them down, it helps keep them from collapsing back too much. Bring his toes down. And there is Megatron from More Than Meets the Eye, as after he had joined the Autobots. You can see I have, in fact, the very first thing I did as soon as I knew where they were, I had them ready to go. And as soon as I heard and saw DHL pulling into the driveway this morning, first thing I did was ran and grabbed my repo labels to stick that Autobot symbol on him. But there he is, base-wise, without his cannon in robot mode. And he's got ball joint at the neck, which you saw, and then even the piece that his head's attached to has a little bit of rotational movement so he can look up. Not quite down so much, but he can look back and up. This piece rotates just because it's on a pin. But he's got swivels here at the shoulders, ratcheting front and back shoulders, bicep swivel, swivel arms. Fists are all, like the fingers are all one piece, but they do swivel. And he also has some up and down movement in his wrists, which will show off in a minute with his sword. Waist swivel, which we saw during the transformation. Bicep swivel, ratcheting hips front and back. These side panels and front panels all move out of the way to give him more range of motion. Hinge knees. And then his foot's on a ball joint up in there, so you can move it side to side, front to back, as well as the articulation in the toes. But there's what he actually looks like in More Than Meets the Eye, aside from a few scenes where he does, in fact, have a cannon attached to him. You can attach this one to match this look, and it looks pretty decent with him. I went back and looked at Dying of the Light when he had a cannon, and the shape is wrong on all these cannons, but it's not actually not as oversized. It should be a little smaller in diameter than the ones we got, but they're actually not as ridiculously oversized as I was initially under the impression of. And you can, if you want, put the barreled cannon on as well, if you'd rather have that kind of cannon look to him. Although it does still have the caution stripes on it. I tried unscrewing this piece. You can unscrew this piece. There's 2 screws under here, but those are also the screws that hold the whole thing together, and the only thing they screw into is this gray piece. So if you unscrew them, the front end of this stays together, but is a little loose, and the barrel likes to pop out a lot, so it's easier to just keep it screwed together. But yeah, I'm going to leave the cannon off because that's, for all these comparisons, this is really how he looked most of the time in the comic, and I feel like that's going to be the most effective comparison. He can support himself with the cannons on his arm with the cannon extended, which is nice. So he's got the PSX exclusive. He's got an energy sword and his energy mace with a very long chain. I will most likely remove some of those links like I often do with chains, but they just fit in his hands like that and like that. But this is what I was talking about with that wrist swivel, because the hand's a little angled up here with a hinge in there, so instead of just holding it straight like this, he can actually point it forward from a wrist perspective. Not straight forward, but he gets a little bit of that down wrist motion as opposed to just that. He does have wrist swivel as well. There he is with the weapons. Here he is with MMC's Syndicus, their Voss, who is, one, I'm surprised is still holding together, because this guy's broken in like 7 places now. Like, this keeps popping off. One of his, you can see one of his shoulder pieces is broken off. This whole piece, you can see the gray connector piece is missing. It's snapped right there. While I was transforming him earlier, despite the fact that this guy has been nothing but sitting on my shelf, his thumb popped off. His wrist is starting to crack. I'm really sad. Oh, they're just putting him back in there. Didn't even barely touch it, and now his fingers are cracking off as well. So, like I said, it's very large in relation to Megatron. Not overly large. He can't hold it, but with the fact that he's also falling apart, I'm a little sad. But, oh well. I'd be more sad if I didn't have Ariel Lemons face off the Abstergent from Shapeways, because he fits in here just fine. And also, I feel looks a little better with Megatron. He doesn't look quite as disproportionate. You can rotate his hand up and bring it, hold him across. So yeah, if you have the chance to get yourself one of these guys on Shapeways, by all means do it, because I think that's a much better rifle for Megatron. But yeah, so he had the mace and the sword. Like I said, this was, I'm pretty sure, one of the PSX exclusives was the silver head, but he also has these same weapons just in kind of a smoky gray plastic for whatever reason. I'm not sure if that's a specific homage or just a little something extra for PSX or people who had ordered from there. He also comes with, and all versions come with it, a separate head, and we'll get into the size comparisons now. He comes with a separate head for Coulter, aka Tarn, that mimics what he looked like before he became Tarn, even though I feel like this head, even though it was based off of a rumored alt for him, looks more like what his face actually looked like under there than the new one. So I'll probably keep that one on him. But this one has a little magnetic mask. It pops off, and you can see there's Glitch under there with his mono eye. But also, you see this little piece has a little magnet in it, because you can magnetically attach it to Megatron's chest to, one, kind of give him a Decepticon symbol if that's your thing, and also replicate a scene from the comic. And what's neat is, if you want best of both worlds, it doesn't hold on as well as this, because this one has a peg hole in the head. It's a little hard to see there, and the peg on the mask itself. And also is designed a little bit to grip the chin a little deeper and stay on better. But this does match up, and it does grip the chin enough and fit between these two side pieces that you can push this up into the eye and clip it on there. This mask will fit on the original head. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't push in quite as deeply, so it looks a little off. But if you wish, if you want to have a Tarn with the more accurate comic reveal head under the mask, as well as the magnetic mask to pop off and put on Megatron, you can do it. Because it will stay on well enough, but it doesn't take, because it's clipping on between here, and then the only thing that's really holding it in place is the friction of these little ridges inside the eye ridge. So if you try to pull it up from the bottom, it'll stay in place pretty well, but if you put any kind of leverage on it from the top, it will pop right out. So, not an intended feature, but it is there if you would prefer to have that going for you. But yeah, so there he is with Tarn, just to get an idea of how they look together. Of course, you can't have Autobot Captain Megatron without his co-captain. You see, he's a little bigger, not insanely bigger, but they look excellent together on a shelf. Somebody else asked about this, and I would not have thought to put these two together naturally, or at least I hadn't as of the time the question was asked. But here he is with Ocular Max Jaguar, and I think they look great together. So that may be how I display them on my shelf. That was a good call, thank you. And somebody else asked for Combiner Wars, Ultra Magnus, and Brainstorm. And so I figured I would oblige. There he is with Ultra Magnus. And again, I think they look pretty decent together, both color-wise and design-wise. There is also the Minimus Ambus in there that can interact with Megatron. And here he is with the Thrilling 30 Voyager Brainstorm. And again, not a bad match. I feel like Megatron might be a little bigger than him. A little bit bigger than this shows him as than Brainstorm, but again, he's a pretty good match with most of the figures, aside from just being an excellent Megatron figure anyway. He was the one I was most excited for. I've been waiting for him forever, and he has finally shown up, and I'm thrilled because I could be done collecting and be happy with where I got to, having this guy on my shelf. Some of that is because he's a fun figure. A lot of that is just identification with the character in the comics. But yeah, there he is. Outstanding release from Mastermind Creations, R-28 Tyrantron.